Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Dota 2 commentary brought to you by yours truly, B-Ballin, and this is a quarterfinals match between Evil Geniuses and Virtus.Pro, two of the most volatile but two of the most excitable teams in all of Dota 2. EG, when they're on top of their form, look like world beaters. They have the potential to beat pretty much any team in the world. Meanwhile, Virtus.Pro has been running a really strong hot streak. They have been performing really well recently, and now is as good a time as any to show what you're made of, because TI3 is coming up and you want to get that momentum before you start heavily boot camping before that incredibly powerful tournament. And also for EG, this is pretty much their TI3 because they didn't qualify for the TI3 finals in Seattle. So this tournament and the Raid Call EMS and LAN tournament that they have been invited to are pretty much their best shots of getting some really solid LAN experience and some solid prize money under their belts if they want to have something done this summer. So we'll have to see how both teams perform, but I'm sure EG are going to be playing with a little bit of desperation on this side because, again, this is one of their major LANs since they don't have to go to TI3 anymore. So EG, recognizing that Virtus.Pro do have first pick, they're going to be at the Wisp. Virtus.Pro going to be at the stable carry in the form of Gyrocopter, and Gyrocopter is very powerful, but recently he hasn't been winning too much, and I think that's just because more teams are picking more aggressive lineups to deal with him. VP gonna bat the Nature's Prophet, so they're gonna force EG to ban the Barrier or Darkseer, and Virtus.Pro is one of those teams who do favor Darkseer quite highly, and that's why they are gonna pick it up with their first choice. So we'll see how EG responds. Keep in mind EG are on the dire side, so if they pick up some early Roshan heroes, maybe if they get something like a Visage on their side, then they can potentially take control of the lane and then take control of Roshan very easily. But I've never really seen EG try out the Visage. They're more they're more used to playing, I don't know, their supports are not really Visage-esque. They like to gank a bit more early on in Visage. He's a very strong lane controller, but he doesn't really have that much ganking potential in the early stages of the game.
5 seconds remaining.
But we're gonna have to wait and see what EG decides to choose. Keep in mind, Tree's still left in the pool, but I've only seen EG run Treant once, and that was an off-lane Treant with Bamboo, and that did not work out well whatsoever. And Treant against Darkseer is just not a fair matchup for Treant, just because Darkseer's Ion Shell just melts through the lifting armor charges. So I don't think EG will go for the Treant choice. I think Darkseer does beat Treant pretty handily because of that Ion Shell harassment, but still, EG does have a lot of openings they could do. And keep in mind, after they pick up these two heroes, it's going to go right to the second ban phase after Virtus.Pro picks up their own second hero. So EG got to pick up their strong heroes now before Virtus.Pro decides to remove from the pool. They're going to go with what they know. They've been running Keeper Light very consistently for quite a while on Beat-Is. So EG going to pick up that hero. We'll see if they go for a bit more of a defensive hero, or if they're going to try to make the semblance of an aggressive tri-lane. But right now, I'm inclined to believe that EG will go on the defensive. They're going to pick up TA as well for Demon in the mid lane. And not too sure how I feel about this. They can potentially ban out a lot of strong mid heroes in their second phase of bans, but if Virtus.Pro just rotate Darkseer to the middle lane, then TA could have a really difficult time. So picking up a Templar Assassin I think is, you know, pretty versatile for the most part, but still, there's so much time left in the draft that you can really pick around Templar Assassin, and TA, one of her main strengths in the form of chasing, will be shut down by the Darkseer's Surge. I mean, it is a single target boost, and Templar Assassin's traps are AoE, but still, Surge does do very well up against TA's traps. So VP thinking long and hard about what they want to go for right now. Will they pick up a support for NS? They have been very much favoring heroes like Disruptor recently, but I don't think they'll pick up Disruptor with their opening choices. They're instead going to pick up Rubik, a hero that apparently has faded out in favor of some more aggressive heroes like Crystalmane and Visage. Rubik is of course very strong, but really can't provide as much lane aggression if he does have some solid damage backing him up. But still, in a teamfight scenario, there are very few other heroes you want on your support line other than Rubik, just because he can steal so many spells, and TA has a multitude of great spells he can steal. Refraction, Traps, even Illuminate, and Blinding Light are very potent spells for Rubik to potentially steal. EG going about the Naga side, recognizing that Virtus.Pro could potentially run the incredibly powerful teamfight combination of Darkseer and Naga. Of course, you all know Sleep into Vacuum into whatever teamfight will just obliterate EG. Even though EG does have a lot of range on their side, TA, even though she doesn't have that much range physically, her range of initiation is quite powerful, just because that trap can be cast from so far away. Cupid Light has a lot of illuminate range as well, so EG, I like that they're picking up a lot of range. We'll see if they continue with this theme, or it's something that, you know, they just decide to go with for their first 2 heroes and not really thinking about that consciously.
Radiant team ban.
VP banning out the Phantom Lancer, so I guess they are a bit annoyed with the Keeper Light Phantom Lancer combination. It's nowhere near as strong as it used to be, just because people have recognized how to deal with it by beating Phantom Lancer in the early stages of the game. But still, Keeper Light turtles long enough that Phantom Lancer will inevitably get some form of farm, and Virtus.Pro don't really have the strongest pushes that can combat Keeper Light at this moment. They don't have anything like a Clockwork, a barrier to really initiate on Keeper Light, so Phantom Lancer being gotten rid of is definitely going to be a very, very smart move by Virtus.Pro. Meanwhile, EG banning out the Disruptor, recognizing that it is one of NS's favorite heroes, and Vacuum into Kinetic Field into Static Storm can potentially just single-handedly wipe EG. And this could also mean that EG will pick up some form of strong initiator, so that when that initiator jumps in, they won't be immediately silenced by the Static Storm. But still, we are going to have to wait and see what EG actually decides to go for here, as they have a bit of time left to pick up their third hero. They still need a support, they still need an offlaner, and they still need their hard carry. And we're going to have to see what they decide to go for here. A lot of the hard carries have been eliminated from the pool, but some of the hard carries that do remain are Alchemist, Sven. EG has played Sven a couple times. Well, those are the most notable EG carries, at least to my knowledge. I don't know if they've been experimenting with many other carries. Well, EG is one of the few teams that likes to run Drow, but I don't know, Drow up against Darkseer just does not seem like a good idea. Especially when you don't really have any frontline tank. TA can tank to some degree, but it's going to be a lot more difficult up against Ion Shell. So they're going to pick up Sand King, so there's your initiation, and that makes a bit more sense considering Disruptor ban. But me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of support Sand King, but EG has run it very successfully in the past, and Sand King does do a lot of damage if you manage to get some early levels. Meanwhile, VP gonna fortify their mid lane, gonna get a pretty solid matchup, Queen of Pain versus TA. It's a bit more difficult in a lane environment for Queen of Pain because TA will have the reactions to dodge a lot of Scream of Pain, Shadow Strike harassing with Melt. But still, keep in mind Scream of Pain does hit invisible units, so if she doesn't have a Refraction charge up, then TA will still take damage nonetheless. But Virtus.Pro right now, they have a decent chunk of damage, they have a decent semblance of team fight, they have Vacuum and a Sonic Wave, as EG going to pick a Void for Jo, as this is a pretty defensive pick, and I like it here because Keeper Light is a very defensive hero by nature, and it's very difficult pushing into the base up against a Sand King. And right now, Virtus.Pro don't really have a reliable way to break the base, so picking up turtley carry like Void could benefit EG in the long run. Although if they lose an early game advantage, then it'll be difficult for Void to actually farm, because Virtus.Pro gonna pick up the Alchemist, one of the few carries who, if he gets the Chronosphere off, and Alchemist has his Chemical Rage, he can potentially survive the whole duration of the Chronosphere. But one thing that is going to be annoying for Void is that his Chronosphere will get stolen regardless. But the good thing about EG is that, I mean, if Chronosphere is stolen, then Void can still move around it, even if his teammates are restricted. So, looks like EG going to ban out the Jakiro, banning out all the strong supports that synergize very well with Darkseer. And meanwhile, Virtus.Pro probably going to look to ban out an offlaner for Sexy Bambo. I don't imagine EG will go on the offensive. Void is not really the strongest laner by any means. Really has no way of dealing that much damage outside of auto-attacking and hoping for a lucky bash. So Virtus.Pro gonna ban out the Bounty Hunter, so they are fearing a bit of early game aggression from the TA Bounty Hunter combination. And with the Rubik on their side, I guess you can't really blame them, but I don't know if EG would have picked up the Bounty Hunter. They might have gone for a different option, but then again, a lot of the other offlaners have been eliminated. Although Clockwork could have been an option for EG, and I think Clockwork could be a solid pickup for Sexy Bambo. But then again, I'm not too sure how successful Sexy Bambo has been on a Clockwork Goblin.
10 seconds remaining.
Meanwhile, Virtus.Pro need to pick up their support, as they have some decent teamfight potential, they have some decent mid-game, but pretty much their only source of early game damage comes from Queen of Pain and Alchemist Stun, since Darkseer wants to get a lot of levels, and we'll have to see. Darkseer will most likely get a decent amount of farm if EG doesn't pick up a strong... Well, I mean, EG have some decent zoning in the form of Sand King and Keeper Light, but really not too much that Darkseer won't pick up at least level 2 and then make his way back to the jungle. But if Darkseer doesn't get levels up as fast as possible, look for him to immediately rotate into the jungle and try to get those levels online, since Virtus.Pro can't really afford to stall at the game up against a Void TA combination. So EG gonna pick up the winner for Sexy Bambo in the off lane, so now they have a bit more disable on their side, and they have a strong, competent off laner, but still, Alchemist and Rubik can potentially shut her down very, very heavily because they can use telekinesis while she's wind running. You have the Nightmare to help set up the stun. You have, of course, the unstable concoction to stun Bambo in place. Virtus.Pro have a lot of ways to lock down Sexy Bambo, so I don't know if Sexy Bambo will ever get any chance to get too much experience in the offlane position. And meanwhile, Darkseer can rotate the jungle, but Windrunner can potentially kill off some Ancients, albeit she can do that very, very slowly. So just overall in terms of the draft, it's hard to say. Virtus.Pro, their damage output is really only strengthened by the Queen of Pain. Darkseer doesn't have the most reliable damage. Alchemist can get some strong damage, but he needs some items first. And Virtus.Pro supports really are not the most damaging supports, they're more of controlling supports. Meanwhile, EG, their early game, not that threatening outside of Sand King, but they have Keeper Light and they have a lot of defensive measures that they can potentially stall the game out long enough. So overall, I do favor EG's draft a bit more. They have strong defensive heroes, and meanwhile, I don't think Virtus.Pro's aggressive heroes will be enough to break the base before Void gets too much farm. So I'm liking EG's draft just a bit more in this game, but still, it depends on how much farm and how much the Alchemist can outfarm the Void before the game truly shows what it's made of. So, introducing the players and the teams. On the side of Virtus.Pro, we're going to have NS playing the Rubik. Illidan, aka Airman, is going to be playing the Alchemist. KSI is going to be playing the Darkseer. ars-art is going to be taking control of that Bane Elemental. And Tame My Wild, aka Crazy, is going to be playing the Queen of Pain in the middle lane. It looks like Tame My Wild has been pulled quite a bit by his supports in order to win the mid lane matchup as hard as possible. Meanwhile, on the side of EG, we're going to have... looks like Virtus.Pro toying with the idea of scouting into Roshan, since TA Meld can attempt a Roshan engagement, but still, there's really not too much reliable damage for EG outside the TA Meld strikes. But still, better be safe than sorry. But yeah, it is going to be Fear playing the Sand King. Jay was playing the Faceless Void. Looks like he was pulled quite a bit. Demon gonna rush that bottle, but we'll have a difficult time up against Queen of Pain. Bambo gonna be playing the offlane winner, and Beatus is gonna be taking care of the Keeper of the Light. So we're gonna have to see how Demon fares, because Queen of Pain will have a solid advantage. We'll see if Demon's melds are on point to dodge a Shadow Strike harassment, but keep in mind, level 1 refraction does not mitigate too much damage. Only 3 charges means that you will dodge 3 attacks, and that's pretty much it. And with 100 mana cost at every level, then you really can't afford to be spamming it unless you got that bottle. As Bambo gonna get zoned out effectively by ars-art, taking a lot of damage, as Bambo might be in a bit of trouble if ars-art... Yes, he is gonna skill the Brain Sap, and Bambo, will they give up first blood? ars-art, he's gonna go for it. Bambo juking as best he can, but ars-art knows all the juke paths, will be able to pick up a very successful first blood. Bambo took too much harassment, didn't pop any regen, only used his Tango, and I guess his lack of salve really hurt him in the end, but really nice engagement by ars-art, effectively zoning out the offlaner. And gonna give him first blood. That's gonna mean a free flying courier, and gonna give him a really solid solo level 2, since he did pick up the solo experience. So sensational play by ars-art. A bit of cockiness by Sexy Bambo, which we all know and love about him, but still, it does have its downsides, as you saw in that engagement. And look at Virtus.Pro. They are fully aware of what Winrunner can do in this offlane. She can do nothing aside from stack Ancients and do some Ancient harassment, so Virtus.Pro very smartly warding off the Ancients. I love what Virtus.Pro is doing right now, and they are playing this game so intelligently. But still, I mean, in the end, Windrunner, she is supposed to have an impact, but her impact is going to be negligible in comparison to TA and Void, so even if she gets shut down, it's not going to be the biggest deal. As it looks like Darkseer immediately rotated himself to the jungle, and Sexy Bambo getting a bit of experience not being zoned out correctly by Virtus.Pro. But now Virtus.Pro with the creep pull is going to pull the creep wave back in their favor, and you can see Alchemist picking up the boot speed, going with the very, very Stern build. We'll see if he skills an extra point on Stable Concoction or gets an extra point to Grievo's Greed, and that will definitely tell us how he wants to approach the early stages of this game. So it looks like Alchemist wants to farm a bit more. Getting that extra point to Grievo's Greed means that he will be able to farm, and he'll be able to farm very, very quickly. But meanwhile, look at EG, they're immediately trying to alleviate some of the pressure on Sexy Bambo by pushing this top tower, and without Darkseer, this tower will eventually fall. It won't fall with this wave, it might not fall with the next wave, but it will fall nonetheless, unless Darkseer does help out with the Ion Shell and Darkseer. He really wants level 3 so Iron Shell does more damage, but it's a bit hard to come by at this stage in the game. Meanwhile, you can see in the middle lane, Demon actually playing a bit better than I expected. Well, not playing better than I expected, but handling this match a bit better than I expected. And he's hit that crucial level 3 where he can get more refraction charges, but right now Queen of Pain with the Illusion Rune, just denying every single creep and draining those refraction charges with those illusion attacks. The Illusion Rune up against Templar Assassin is so very powerful, since she relies on the extra damage that refraction gives her, as well as the extra protection that refraction gives her to really keep herself in lane. And you can see Demon only has enough mana to use refraction once more before she is forced to bottle up. And that bottle crow nerf definitely not helping Templar Assassin out, because right now the bottom lane is completely covered by Virtus.Pro supports. In the top lane, it seems like EG more intent on terms of getting experience rather than going for rune checks. And since Queen of Pain does have an area of effect, look for Queen of Pain to just push out the waves whenever the rune does come into contention, and she will be able to get very solid rune control. So EG gonna pause the game for now. You can see this tower still at 2/3 HP. They really don't have any strong pushers, but slowly but surely they are making the way towards it. But Virtus.Pro gonna smoke up. If they manage to get a Nightmare off onto Demon, he could potentially be in a lot of trouble. Is there any detection to spot a meld hit? It doesn't look like there is, but there is Iron Shell, and that can drain through that meld very, very quickly. As here comes the surge onto Rubik, and it's gonna get the telekinesis off. Tame Wild actually has sentries, and Demon most likely gonna be in a lot of trouble. Body box by Tame Wild will be in position. Here comes Iron Shell, Scream Pain doing a lot of damage. Demon gonna meld up, but another Sentry Ward will be dropped, and Tame Wild, with the help of ars-art, will pick up the kill. The Sentry Ward will be killed off in exchange, but still, good gank by Virtus.Pro. They expended a lot of resources, but giving Tame Wild such a huge advantage in the early stages of the mid lane, gonna be very, very powerful. And TA, again, is a very strong mid-game hero, but she does not get to a good start. It's a bit more tricky for her to recover since she doesn't build any tank items, and so it'll be more difficult for her to survive the battles as they come later on.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Meanwhile, EG gonna pressure the top tower, and it looks like they will be able to take this tower. They have a siege wagon, and the creep wave is still far away from reinforcing the tower. Meanwhile, KSI is still farming in the jungle, so he clearly has no intentions to make his way towards that tower. And Jayo, it's of the utmost importance that he gets his last hit. He does do it very nicely. Picked up a poor man shield, expecting maybe a bit of an aggressive try lane, but he's most likely going to rush that Battle Fury since he's getting such ridiculous free farm. And maybe even Midas is a potential option, since even if he does pick up the Midas, well, I guess if he was going to go Midas, he wouldn't pick up the boots. So I guess Midas wouldn't be an option. And he wouldn't pick up the Quelling Blade either, so this will definitely be a Battle Fury build. And once Boy gets that Battle Fury online, you'll definitely be able to increase his farming capabilities by a decent amount. But still, where is EG going to find the experience for his supports once JO takes control of the jungle? That's the real question for me. And Bambo just power showing as best he can, but Windrunner, this is why Windrunner is not really as trendy an offlane hero one anymore. She can't really farm in the jungle as effectively as other offlane heroes, and she can't control the creep equilibrium in comparison to heroes like Clockwork and heroes of that nature. So her place in the offlane metagame has sort of been reduced very, very heavily, just because people have found more reliable offlaners to depend on. And Windrunner is a hero. She doesn't need that many items, but she still needs some form of items. She wants to have enough mana to spam her abilities in a team fight consistently. Wants to get off at least 2 shackle shots, because if one whiffs, then you want to be able to follow up with another shackle shot. Wants to use a couple power shots as well. And although those spells are pretty cheap, if you spam them repeatedly, you will run out of mana very, very quickly. Darkseer, interesting enough, picking up the Tranquil Boots, so he already has a Soul Ring, so he's just using these Tranquil Boots to heal him up during his jungle excursions. And it seems like Virtus.Pro have no intentions of shutting down JO. They know Alchemist is going for a very farm-heavy build, as he has that 3rd point to Greevil's Greed, so he knows he's technically getting more farm than Void. Even though Void did pick up a tower, you can see Alchemist very, very close to the Void in terms of net worth. And we'll have to see what build Alchemist decides to go for. Will he go for the Shadow Blade that was so very popular before the nerf, or will he go for something a bit more stale, maybe something like a Battle Fury that can help increase his farm? I'm going to be more inclined to believe that he will go for the Shadow Blade just so he can reliably charge up the stun, because EG's only stuns are a Chronosphere, a Shackle Shot, and a Sand stun. And considering Sand is not that high level, that Sand stun not going to be too important because its range is just a lot limited. But I've got to imagine once Alchemist picks up a Shadow Blade, then Fear will be having level 7, so he will be able to get off some solid stuns. Meanwhile, Virtus.Pro gonna rotate one of the supports to pick up as much experience as possible. ars-art gonna hit a very fast level 7. Already has boots of speed online thanks to the first blood, and is gonna finish the magic wand. And Virtus.Pro, one of the teams that really likes to heavily farm their other support besides NS. I guess their non-primary warding support. And I really like that strategy, but we'll see if that experience was better used on a hero like Darkseer to pick up a lot more CS. But Darkseer is just clearing the jungle, so I guess this works out nonetheless. Meanwhile, Queen of Pain, look at her denies, 26 denies, and you can see Demon level 6, Tamerlad level 7 has a full level advantage. Of course, that is also thanks to the kill they got on Demon, but they took 4 years to gank that, so actually Tamerlad did not pick up too much experience from that gank. Instead, the majority of her experience lead is coming on the back of her extra denies. And Templar Assassin is a hero, because she's ranged, she does get a little bit less experience than melee heroes when creeps are denied. So that's going to be a bit annoying. Templar Assassin getting shafted a bit in terms of the range / melee advantage in terms of denies. And you can see Demon really being restricted in what he can actually do in this stage of the game. By the time Demon will hit that very crucial level 7 or level 8, then at that point Virtus.Pro's supports will be so farmed that I don't know if Demon can actually solo kill any of them. You can see NS is level 5, has the second point Fable, has the boot speed on lockdown. ars-art has a Fiend's Grip, and Demon doesn't have a ward on the high ground, as Demon will get Fiend's Grip, and he will die in a matter of milliseconds. ars-art picking up a killing spree. And the annoying thing for ars-art, if he dies, he'll get a pretty significant bounty, probably around 400 gold, since that bounty gold system has been buffed up a bit. But still, Demon being shut down in the early stages of the game could mitigate a lot of EG's damage potential. So, it looks like I underestimated Virtus.Pro's offensive prowess, as with the help of Queen of Pain, they have been able to get a lot of damage and a lot of control with their dual support role, and they've just been able to do a lot of work in the early stages of this game, roaming and ganking. And really, EG, it's going to be difficult for them to come back, but it's going to be on the back of Jo, as he's picking up a very late hand of Midas. I completely disagree with this build, as this honestly does not make sense. If you want to go for Midas, I don't know why you would have picked up boot speed. He had an uninterrupted free farm, and in the end Midas will help you farm the jungle. It'll help you increase experience, which I think is what Jo is going for in the end. He wants to increase experience, but still, he should have had the sense to make it early as possible. Skip the boots. What did he need the boots for in the offlane? Nobody was threatening whatsoever. And also skip the Quelling Blade, because keep in mind, he didn't have the Quelling Blade at the start. So with the Poorman Shield, Void's base damage is actually pretty impressive, so I really disagree with the timing on Void's Midas. And I feel like this will significantly delay his impact in a teamfight. Battle Fury does give you nice damage, and in the end, even if you won't get as much experience, it will help you farm faster because of the extra cleave. And of course, the mana regeneration is quite valuable. So I'm really questioning Jo's decision making in regards to the very late hand of Midas purchase. In the end, it was around maybe an 8 or 7 minute hand of Midas, probably closer to a 5 or 6 minute hand of Midas, since he had so much gold after picking up the tower as well as the treads. But still, if you wanted to get the hand of Midas, you could have potentially gotten it at around 4 minutes, and that would just help him out so much more. Meanwhile, Demon could potentially be in a lot of trouble. ars-art going to teleport in, has the Fiend's Grip on lockdown, is going to use it once again, and you can see the lack of middle lane wards really hurting Demon, as they are going to be safe rather than sorry, and Virtus.Pro will kill off Demon once again. This Templar Assassin won't have any impact in the mid stage of the game, as right now the supports on the side of Virtus.Pro are so highly leveled. You can see ars-art is already level 8 at this point in the game, Rubik is level 6, and Demon has died a multitude of times, so her item progression has slowed down to a crawl. So EG, they're gonna have to rely on Jo, and pretty much that's it. And Sand King, he's a decent ganker, but has really just farmed his way up to Arcane Boots. He wants to make his way towards a dagger, but still, I mean, because he is a support, that dagger farm will come a lot slower than if he was a heavy farmer. So EG in a lot of trouble at this moment. Demon, now very intimidated, knows that with one telekinesis he could potentially die. As meanwhile on the top lane, looks like Jo was able to use the Chronos Hero and the Epicenter to kill off the Bane Elemental, so they got a nice spree of 350 gold for Jo on that kill. But still, in the end, that was a Bane Elemental kill, and that was 2 ultimates being expended by EG. And Illidan just going to be more than happy to clean up this top lane farm, and already has a Shadow Blade, and you can see his CS is absolutely phenomenal. And And even though Void has that minus in a tower kill, Illidan is still keeping up very, very impressively with net worth just because of the Greevil's greed, and now he's getting some points into Acid Spray, and that's when Alchemist truly begins to shine. Once he can zone people out with the Acid Spray, reducing their armor, as well as doing a lot of damage, then Alchemist is becoming a really, really big problem. And more importantly, he has enough mana to actually use his abilities. You know, the Templar Assassin's Trap gonna spot out ars-art, so Demon not gonna fall for that trick anymore. But you can see what Demon's been restricted to. He's pretty much been restricted to just farming up in the early portions of the mid game, where TA usually wants to be either getting a lot of farm or just getting a lot of ganks. And you can see Demon has yet to pick up a Treads. And he'll likely want to pick up BKB when everything is said and done up against the likes of Rubik, Darkseer, Alchemist, Queen of Pain. Even if Bane, Fiend Grip does go towards, or does go through BKB, he will want that BKB to negate the majority of the damage on the side of Virtus.Pro. But that BKB is getting a long ways away. I imagine Demon's going to finish the Treads and then start considering his next item choices. I mean, Taimawad saving up a lot of gold, 1600 gold in the bank. Not too sure what he's saving up for. It's likely going to be an Orchid Rush. Or perhaps... no, it's got to be an Orchid Rush because he can potentially dodge the Shackle Shot as well as the Sand King stun if his reactions are on point. And Chronosphere, it doesn't matter if you have a fast BKB or not. So I'm going to guess it's going to be an Orchid Rush, but if it's a BKB Rush, then, well, I don't know what to think. Meanwhile, Virtus.Pro want to get one tower on the board. They want to limit EG's map control since they know EG, they have a strong defensive lineup, and Virtus.Pro wait around a bit too long. Virtus.Pro could potentially be in a bit of trouble. 1-800 Merlini is the call from NS, as every tactical pause already calling the Merlini police. Bring his Zeus hammer of justice upon the people who abuse the tactical pause. But yeah, Virtus.Pro looking to secure this middle tower. I'm not too sure if EG can defend this. Keeper Light not in position to get the defense going, and if you can see, Beat is gonna rush that mechanism. Has already picked up the Buckler, so his farm is quite respectable. It is level 6 as well, but still is gonna melt the incredible damage output of Virtus.Pro, especially their supports. I'm really liking how Virtus.Pro farmed up the supports and really placed a priority on ars-art getting as much farm as possible. And this has become a bit of a trend for Virtus.Pro. They're farming with the Bane, and you can see he's going to rush that BKB. And once he gets to BKB, only Chronosphere will stop him. And if he Fiend Scripts to the Void, then, I mean, nothing will stop him. So that's going to be very, very useful. But here comes EG, going to flank in, going to focus their attentions on ars-art. Fear going to come in with the stun after the Chronosphere has expired, as he is going to get the stun, as well as the epicenter. But ars-art being held up with the mechanism. Ars-art just survived for so damn long. But it looks like EG going to get out okay for now. Rubik does kill Bambo in the end. So it's going to be a 1-for-1 meal. Alchemist charging up the stun himself. A bit annoying for the Alchemist. It's going to be a 1-for-1 when everything's said and done. And an offlaner for his support. Technically, it's in favor of EG, but... or technically, it's in favor of Virtus.Pro, but Windrunner is so low-leveled in comparison to Bane. Actually, she's an even level. Bambo was able to pick up a decent number of levels. So yeah, it was in the end favor of Virtus.Pro, because they were able to kill the offlaner and further restrict Bambo's impact on the game. But at the very least, Void picked up the last hit on the ars-art. Meanwhile, NS got the last hit on Windrunner, so that's going to get a bit more gold Void's way, as he's going to go Midas into Battlefield. He's going to go into such an aggressive farming build. Man, I'm not too sure what Jay was thinking. This is so very greedy. If it works out, then I'll have to eat my words, eat my hat as well, but I mean, this is so greedy. He won't have any attack speed increasing items for a long while, as he still needs the Perseverance. I mean, he'll be able to clear the farms, and he might be able to split push quite effectively, but still, split pushing up against Bane, especially with the Darkseer surging him in, is going to be very, very annoying, as a PC swap is going to be in effect for Dreamhack. So I'm going to take this time to fast forward. Looks like Virtus.Pro were able to muscle it down in the tower, so they got their end goal. But EG, I feel like, are definitely behind, especially Jawa going for such a greedy build. This is going to be very turtley based, and this is relying on Keeper Light and Windrunner defending the game long enough. And if they manage to stop the game long enough, then EG will be in a good position. But right now, Virtus.Pro, everything's going their way. And the gold graph is going to indicate that even though Virtus.Pro have only claimed one tower, they have an immense gold lead and a pretty sizable experience lead. But 5k experience and gold lead 14 minutes in can definitely be overcome. It's now nearly as damning as something like a 10k experience and gold lead at 15 minutes in. Checking out some more of the items, Darkseer used the mechanism to allow ars-art to survive so much damage, as ars-art's BKB will be heavily delayed. Meanwhile, Queenpain saving up so much gold if he wanted. I'm not too sure what Queenpain is saving up for. He could have potentially bought an Oblivion Staff, but I don't know, he might be rushing a Hex instead, and getting the Hex online could be very useful, but that build's pretty greedy itself, and I feel like Virtus.Pro want to win as early as possible. Meanwhile, Alchemist is going to rush the AC likely, and he is well on his way towards finishing that. You can see Alchemist's net worth just surpassing Void by a great degree, despite Void picking up a sizable killing spree, 2-0 with 100 CS. Very nice job by Jo. But Alchemist just able to keep ahead just because of the Grievous Greed, and he will remain ahead unless they manage to kill the Alchemist. As I fast forward too much, but rest assured, nothing happened during that brief moment where my life flickered before my eyes. You know, Templar Assassin could be in a bit of trouble, but with the creep wave being dead, I don't imagine Demon will push in any further, and Demon will back off. So, good recognition by Demon, but it just makes a lot of sense to back off at that point. So, I'm not too sure what Virtus.Pro's game plan is. Are they going to wait for BKB on ars-art to be finished? Are they going to wait for the AC on Alchemist to be finished before they start pushing? I mean, they've got to push. Alchemist does do very well up against Void, especially with the backup of a Bane Elemental and a Darkseer, but still, it's Void. Void's so scary in the late stages of the game just because he can get guaranteed kills with the Chronosphere. So, I think Virtus.Pro should push very soon, and I'm not too sure what they're waiting for. As Timewall did pick up the Ultimate Orb, so it looks like he is actually going to rush that Hex. Interesting choice. We'll see if that actually helps him, because if he picks it up at around the 22-21 minute mark, then it could be very useful, since EG won't be anywhere close to finishing any BKBs, and Hexing the Void will just lock him down for so long, and Queenpain likely won't be caught in any Chronospheres just because of her incredible mobility. Meanwhile, Virtus.Pro gonna claim an uncontested tower. Beatus was trying to push out the middle lane and trying to get a tower trade, but instead they weren't able to get any pressure on that middle tower, and Virtus.Pro will receive a tower for free. But EG pressuring the bottom tower, can they take it? I'm not too sure. As Demon going to work on Roshan has the meld, and he's just chipping with this Roshan, making it a lot easier for EG once they actually decide to go in. Virtus.Pro have no idea what EG's doing at this moment. You can see Virtus.Pro's ward coverage is very limited. They only have one aggressive ward that was used to try to take this tower and spot any reinforcements, so they won't be able to contest this Roshan, assuming of course EG actually kills it. And EG gonna take the bottom tower. Virtus.Pro should know something's up, since neither of the two main farmers were taking that tower. Only supports and the offlaner were taking that bottom tower. So I think Virtus.Pro knows something fishy's up, but EG have a very nice ward. They're going to spot out any movement towards the middle lane, and they will be well warned when this teleport does come in. So a very risky play by EG, but it looks like it will pay off. They might lose to tier 2, but in the end, a Roshan and a tier 1 for a tier 1 and a tier 2. I think that's worth it for EG. Especially up on the TA, that means she can be a bit more aggressive, and she might not have to rush that BK. She might be able to go for a bit more damage.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But still, Virtus.Pro won't be too disappointed. They managed to claim 2 towers nonetheless, and Alchemist is getting dangerously close to finishing up that AC. You can see he will have it in about 100 gold. And once he has AC, it's just going to be so much extra armor for his team, so much extra damage on the opposing team. And that's just going to increase his attack speed by an immense amount. And of course, we all know Alchemist with attack speed is very dangerous, and at this point Void doesn't have enough damage to kill him in the duration of 1 Chronosphere without the help of all of EG's focus. So if they don't manage to kill him, if Alchemist picks up a Basher, then he can potentially just perma-bash Void in place. And Void's just like, what the hell? I have a passive bash and Alchemist can bash better than me? That doesn't seem fair. But such is the way of life when you have an Alchemist on your squad. And Alchemist will pick up that AC right about now. Not going to save for buyback. I mean, what's the point? There's really no point in saving for buyback at this point, just because Virtus.Pro has so many of their towers unlocked on. EG are playing so very defensively. Meanwhile, Demon saving up a lot of gold. It seems like he might go for a dagger, and that build has definitely faded out on TA recently, just because she can always get in position to use her abilities no matter what. But I guess if she wanted dagger, she would have picked it up at that point, so I'm not too sure what Demon's actually saving up for. I think Demon himself is not too sure. He might just be sitting around and deciding himself what his team actually needs. And we're going to likely see it picked up once the team fight does commence. But Void now has the Battle Fury as well as the Midas, so his gold per minute is going to be extremely accelerated. You can see below 500 at this point, but if he's going to give, or if he's going to get uninterrupted farm, his GP will start spiraling way out of control. And Alchemist might have to be a bit wary, because Void, again, can just kill off support so very easily with the Chronosphere. And Alchemist can be sort of held in place with Shackle Shot, with the Stone of the Sand King, and with the Blinding Light until he gets that BKB. But still, Virtus.Pro definitely in a comfortable position. They might be feeling a bit nervous since they gave up the Roshan and they've only claimed 3 towers. But they are still in a really strong position nonetheless, as Beat has finished the Mechanism, Winter has finished the 4 staff. And that's going to be all well and good. Yasha has been picked up on Demon, so you want to get a bit of mobility as well as a bit of extra damage. And also Yasha, considering the pace of the game, is going to be a solid option just because it helps him farm a bit faster, because he can traverse the lanes a lot quicker, has a bit more attack speed to kill off the creeps, and overall helps him out a bit more than something like a dagger or even a BKB. But we're going to see how good this impact is, as TA will pop the trap, but it looks like EG a bit too wary. They know NS wouldn't be blindly dewarding without any backup from his allies. Timwild just continuously disrupting Void's farm, and Timwild getting very close to the Hex, and with that Hex finish, I think that will be the point where Virtus.Pro decides to push in and trying to claim all the remnants of the tier 2s and all the outer towers on the side of EG. And at that point, Void will definitely not be close to BKB. He's actually going to go for a Mask of Madness, it looks like, as this is perhaps the greediest build I've ever seen for a Void, as usually you get the Mask of Madness after you pick up the BKB if you're in a losing situation. But Mask of Madness will definitely increase his farming speed, so I guess that's something. Alchemist Stun going to go in, Bambo going to be much trouble, Bambo going to get absolutely obliterated, as Void's going to teleport himself in, does pop the Chronos here, but Illidan so damn tanky. Looks like Rubik will be able to teleport out of there. Illidan going to be in a lot of trouble, Demon will be there as well, as Illidan will die to one last Melt Strike. But still, for Virtus.Pro, that wasn't all bad. They killed the Windrunner in the offlane, and they're going to apply a lot of pressure, going to force a lot of TP gold, as well, Jail going to get recalled. Yay, keep it light. So in the end, EG won that victory pretty decisively after Virtus.Pro were not able to claim any towers. If Virtus.Pro claimed a tower, then it might have gone evenly. But now EG going to smoke up. Looks like they're just using the smoke to dodge a fight, as they're running in a weird direction. But the power shot going to scout Virtus.Pro, and now EG in a very awkward position. KSI trying to get in position, as Fear going to take a lot of edge. The Hex has been fished on Timwild, and that will mean the end of our Sand King friend. As Fear had his dagger finished, that's why he was able to get such a secure ultimate off. And with that dagger fished up on Fear, it's actually going to be a bit annoying for Virtus.Pro to break the base of EG, just because they will be in danger of taking a lot of damage from Epicenter. But Pipe is nearly done up on KSI, so that Sand King Epicenter going to be greatly reduced in effectiveness. And that's mainly the reason why I'm not too big of a fan of support Sand King, because Pipe and Mechanism will likely finish before Epicenter truly is able to do its biggest damage. Demon preventing Virtus.Pro from pushing the top lane by killing off the creeps on the bottom lane, or on the top lane. We'll see what he decides to go for. I think BKB is going to be the right transition, as he will be able to get a bit of damage onto KSI, but he's got to be careful. Ion Shell and Mechanism will allow KSI to go on the offensive, as the vacuum will be used on Demon, and Ion Shell will just drain through the refraction charges. Demon going to be a lot of trouble. We'll throw out another Melt Strike, as the Hex is going to come in on Demon, and Demon will forfeit his Aegis. But Virtus.Pro fearing a rebuttal from EG, they did see EG's movement on the map from this ward that did just expire, so they're going to back up. They got rid of the Aegis, and Roshan, well, Demon, at least for Demon, the Aegis would have expired nonetheless, so it's not the biggest loss for Demon in the end. Meanwhile, Illidan, he did die, but you can see he's still averaging a very healthy net worth, very strong farm up on the Alchemist. But right now, considering the pace of the game, considering Void has pretty much been untouched, it's looking better and better for EG by the moment. And it seems like Virtus.Pro really struggling for a game plan. I think they might try to attempt another push once they get the pipe online, but Void going for a push-oriented build going to make pushing into the base a lot more difficult, where you can just push out the other lanes and Keeper of the Light can just recall you back into the fray whenever he wants. as EG picked up a really nice kill on S. They did not expend any Chronosphere. And this is the point of the game where I was fearing for Virtus.Pro. If this game goes long enough, the Void and TA combination will be able to carry or out-carry an Alchemist. But still, Virtus.Pro definitely in the advantageous situation as they have more towers to their name, albeit only by one. They're maintaining a gold as well as an experience lead, and overall the supports are a lot more farm than EG supports. You can see the only support on the side of Virtus.Pro who have yet to hit 11 is Rubik. Meanwhile, you can see Keeper Light very, very far away from hitting that nice level 11 where you can get the double duration of Spirit Form online and cast multiple Blinding Lights to disrupt the Alchemist. But EG starting to venture on Virtus.Pro's side of the map, trying to regain as much map control as possible. And Jo can start actually building his way towards some strong teamfight heavy items, whether it be extra bit of damage or a BKB, as Bane has finished his own BKB. And that might be the cue for Virtus.Pro to strike, as Darks are getting very close to the pipe. Illidan gonna spot out Void, but Void should be able to time lock. He's actually gonna pop the Chronosphere and gonna go in, but he's gonna take a lot of damage from Iron Shell. Jo immediately regrets his decision. He still has the time lock, but the Chronosphere will be on cooldown. As Surge will go down to the Alchemist, it's going to be surged ahead as Jo will find himself hexed up. The stun is going to go on Keeper the Light, and EG seems like they will escape this engagement with 0 casualties at the moment. But Beat might be the first one to fall. Soundwave hits squarely on his face, and Fiend Script going to be channeled by ars-art onto Sexy Rambo. Sexy Rambo will end up dying. And wow, really, really questionable decision making by Jo in the end. Maybe thought Alchemist was by himself, but they didn't see anybody else on the side of Virtus.Pro on the map. So they're going to lack the Chronosphere, and this is going to mean a tier 2, and perhaps even a tier 3 for Virtus.Pro. But no, looks like Virtus.Pro want to defend their middle tier 1, do not want to give EG any extra gold, especially having not killed the Void. So Virtus.Pro going to back off, the Alchemist well on his way towards the next big item. Not too sure what that will be. I don't think he really needs a BKB, but we're going to have to see. He might go for a bit more damage, might go for a Basher. And with the Basher, you can potentially just man-fight Jo 1v1 if the situation does call for it. But so far, Jo still getting a lot of farm, has picked up a very greedy build, and it hasn't really hurt him out, or hurt him too much, as now he'll start being able to get some significant damage in teamfight items. BKB, like I always mention, is going to be a very strong choice, but I think at this point he wants a bit of damage, so maybe something like a Maelstrom into Mjolnir build could potentially be very useful, but maybe he already has enough attacks to the Mask of Madness. Maybe he wants to get a Chrysalis online. So I'm going to guess it's going to be Chrysalis or BKB for Jo with their next item.
Dire's middle tower is under
But
attack.
Virtus.Pro going to go to work on the tier 2. Blinding Light will disrupt Illidan for a moment, but will that be enough? As Jo is going to be hungrily pushing out the top lane, but I think Virtus.Pro will be able to kill off this tower, as Timrod will pick up a haste rune and might look to disrupt Jo in his farming attempts, but Jo just going to time walk on out of there. Nicely done. Y'all, ars-art again has that BKB on lockdown, and once Chronosphere has been expended, Bane will be able to get a free Fiend Script onto anybody. If he Fiend Scripts the Void, then there's nothing that EG can do about it. So ars-art is going to be the linchpin in EG's strategy. Sphere actually going to go in very, very offensively. Going to get that Bro Strike stolen in from NS. Or actually, that might have been Sandstorm, as Jo will be stunned up. The Shock Shot will not latch as Illidan fighting all by his lonesome for the moment. Demon taking a lot of damage from that Alchemist, as Darks are going to surge on ahead, trying to cut off the Windrunner, as Illidan going to charge up yet another stun. Will go in onto Jo. Will be able to get the stun off from Jo. ars-art chailing the Fiend Script onto Jo. Jo is going to be stunned in place for a long time, but there's no damage following up. Darkseer wall will be cast as Tamwall did kill off Fear in the end. And so far, a very, very odd engagement, very, very scatterbrained. But in the end, looks like VP used the wall, and EG lost to hero, favoring VP, because wall doesn't really have the longest cooldown, and Jo was not able to pick up any kills. Tamwald once again going to be pushing out this top lane, and you can see Tamwald has so much gold in the bank. Not too sure what he'll go for, as he's going to sell the Null Talisman. Maybe Shiva's Guard could be an option. It looks like he's going to finish a full item. And that is going to be a BKB for Tamar Wild, as a gem has been picked up for EG, I think. Well, maybe the gem was picked up on Virtus.Pro. I couldn't actually see it. But meanwhile, Sanking going to hit that very nice level in, but the pipe has already been fished on KSI, and that is going to negate so much of the epicenter damage that Sanking is essentially just a walking stun and a bit of magically immune slow. And meanwhile, Virtus.Pro charging in very, very far ahead. MKB has been fished on the Alchemist, so anticipating a butterfly from Void, as he is going to make sure that is going to not be as effective as it would be. Because once Void gets a butterfly, he evades so much physical damage with the butterfly, as well as the backtrack, since those abilities do stack. But Virtus.Pro gonna go to work. The shackle shot, nice shackle shot by Sexy Rambo, but is there enough sufficient follow-up damage? Looks like there isn't at this moment. EG can't initiate because Acid Spray just gonna really annoy Fear's area of engagement, as Tamod will pick off Fear once again, gonna pop the BKB, and we'll be able to escape any reprisal. Here comes the vacuum as well as wall. They will kill off Beatus. Jo gonna jump right into the midst of everybody on the side of VP, but he's gonna be severely limited. Gonna get immediately Fiend's get beautiful positioning by ars-art. And VP absolutely rolling over EG in this game, it seems like, as Demon gonna be chased down. And he's gonna get figured out, since again ars-art does have a gem for VP, and EG is in a very terrible position. Because not only will Virtus.Pro claim the tier 2, they will immediately be able to rotate themselves to the Roshan, and EG really can't afford to fight this. They have Epicenter, but they don't have Chronosphere, and without Chronosphere, taking a Roshan fight is just going to be really dreadfully difficult. Especially considering Jo won't even be alive to contest this Roshan, but EG might recognize that they don't have many options, but Tamod is going to scout overhead. Will spot out Beatus, going to get a Hex as well as an immediate kill on Beatus. Poor Cupidite, never stood a chance in hell. And meanwhile, ars-art gonna be the one to initiate. He has a BKB. Well, I've already said that. Here comes the stun, gonna go right onto Sexy Rambo, who's already used his Windrunner. So now Sexy Rambo will also die. And EG just crumbling under the pressure that Virtus.Pro has been applying. Virtus.Pro playing such a solid game throughout this entire game. This is really nice Dota to watch, as I honestly can't say Virtus.Pro have made any mistakes. They've just been executing this lineup perfectly. And EG just not able to sufficiently challenge them enough in the early portions of the mid-game. As this game is dragging on to the late stages of the game, but Virtus.Pro have been able to take such a significant advantage that EG's late game turtling power might be completely mitigated.
So grateful.
As now Virtus.Pro have claimed a ridiculous goal advantage, almost 20k. That's difficult to come back from over a 15k experience advantage, well, over a 14k, as EG gonna smoke up. But smoking up against a team that has a Roshan advantage, always very dreadful, but it seems like EG think they don't have a choice, because if they lose a fight in their base, they're gonna lose the game. But if they lose a fight outside their base, then they could be in a bit more of an easy situation. But Demon gonna get stunned up. Here comes stun by Fear, as BK will be popped on Jo, but Fiend's Grip just does not care. Jo getting Fiend's Grip for the billionth time, as Jo has already used the Time Walk, so he's going to be a lot of trouble. Going to get himself hexed up. Here comes Airman. Going to get a Sonic Blade, try to catch multiple heroes. Airman will end up dying. No, he's going to get the Mechanism online. Here comes the Darkseer Vacuum Wall. EG just crumbling. Virtus.Pro playing so magnificently. Fear going to come with the Epicenter. He might be able to kill off Timwell. No, he will not, as EG getting essentially team wiped. Bambo is going to be the sole survivor, and it seems like ars-art wants to hunt him down and won't be able to do that. But still, VP will claim the tier 2 and likely claim the tier 3. EG running out of steam very quickly, as Virtus.Pro's item advantage is just too tremendous at this point. I mean, overall, that wasn't really a terrible initiation from EG. The only problem is that Fear wasn't really there to back up his allies. He came with a very late Epicenter. But the biggest problem is that, again, the full 10-second BKB charge, as well as the Chronosphere, was completely mitigated by ars-art's positioning. And, I mean, you don't really want a Chronosphere as solo Bane, but that might have been a consideration that Jo had to toy with, as that definitely was a very good effort from ars-art to consistently group Jo, and really mitigate the presence of Chronosphere. Such a strong ultimate was rendered essentially useless for the majority of the game. So EG gonna call GG go next, as now they are one game away from being sent home to America. And keep in mind, this is probably their biggest LAN tournament outside of the raid called EMS's, because again, they were not able to qualify for TI3, so EG gonna have to shape up, otherwise they're gonna be sent home without any money. And at that point, considering they've been boot camping for so long in a team house, then I don't know, it might lead to some internal discussions at EG. So EG had to recover. Virtus.Pro looked sensationally dominant in that game. They played a really strong game. I really can't say if they made many mistakes, and you can see Just look at the score, 22-5. This was a crushing by Virtus.Pro over EG. So we'll see if EG can recover in the next game. But thanks for watching, and I'll be back with Game 2 very, very soon. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.